Can you swim while fasting? The answer may surprise you, but you have to make sure you're doing it the right way. Now, swimming is already hard enough, and fasting can make it that much harder. But it doesn't have to be as hard as it seems. I've fasted many times over the years, and I want to share with you all the mistakes that you need to avoid, along with exactly what types of foods you should be eating before you start the fast, when you break your fast, and how you should think about prioritizing your time so that you can reach the maximum performance both in the water and out of the water as well. First, we need to understand what fasting is and the different types of fasting. The first one we're going to go over is called Ramadan fasting. This is during the month of Ramadan. It's 10 days earlier every single year, and this is where you have no food or drink from dawn to sunset. So depending on where you live in the world, these hours might actually fluctuate. But in this year, 2025, at the time of this recording in the UAE, it's going to be around 6:15 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the evening. It's about 12 to 13 hours of no food or drink. Another type of fasting you've probably heard of is called intermittent fasting. Normally, you're going to follow some type of a regimented program around the same time every day where you go 16 hours of no eating with an 8-hour eating window. Now, typically in the 16 hours of fasting, you're still going to be drinking fluids like water. The idea is you're not taking in any additional calories, but you are staying hydrated. A more extreme version of that is where you go 18 and 6. Typically in these routines, you're normally going to be eating between the hours of noon to about 8 p.m. and then everything outside of that is no eating. And then the third type is an extended fast. You might have seen these around juice cleanses or something like that, where you go 24 hours plus, where you're not eating any hard food, but you're normally drinking fluids like water or a juice to get your body flushed out. Now, everyone's body is going to be affected a little bit differently when you're fasting, but some of the most common things that are going to happen, number one, you're going to have an ease of focus. Because your body is not digesting food, all your blood can actually go to your brain and your body functioning in its normal duties. So, especially in the beginning hours of the day, when your body is not worrying about digesting food, it's actually a lot easier to focus. And not only that, it can actually increase your energy because your body is fresh. It's not weighed down by all this food. Now, what starts to happen is over the course of the day, your body is starting to crave the food. You're looking for additional energy. And so by the end of the day, at the end of the fast, you may notice that you have less energy. You feel like your stomach's starting to rumble and you're getting pretty hungry. That's okay, that's normal. You can actually get cold because your body's looking for ways to stay cool, to stay warm, and you can start to get headaches. Now, at the end of the day, if you're not doing the things that I'm going to mention at the end of the video to make sure that your body is well nourished and hydrated before you start the fast, then these are just going to be a little bit worse. So what we want to do is we want to prevent these things from happening by really making sure that our nutrition and hydration is on point. So what I want to do is share with you guys two different routines on exactly when you should be eating, when you should be training, and exactly what types of foods that you should be eating. Now, the two different routines, one of them is a regular schedule, meaning you go to school, you have a job, normal working hours or going to school hours, and you're going to train either in the morning before work or before school, or after work before you break the fast. And the second schedule is going to be more flexible. Then I'm going to break down exactly the foods you should be eating before you start the fast and when you break the fast. Now, the first schedule here is a regular schedule. So in the morning at 5:30 a.m., this is where you're going to do your first meal of the day, where you are going to make sure you take 2 or 3 cups of water in. It's really important that you don't try and chug as much water as possible in the last few minutes. At this point, you're either going to start your day, you'll do your prayer, you'll do whatever you need to do to get your day started, and you're going to finish before dawn. This is the last meal that you're going to have before you start your extended fast. Now, at this point, either an hour to 2 hours later, if you go to school or you have a job, you're going to do your first workout of the day right away. So that way you have fuel in your system. You've already eaten, you've digested a little bit of food an hour to an hour and a half before that first workout. Then you're going to go on through your normal day, whether that's school or work. And then if you're doing a double workout, or this is the only time you have to work out, you're going to do it before breaking your fast at the end of the day. So this will be anywhere between 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you're going to break your fast at around 6:30, and you're going to want to start with 2 cups of water. It's so important that you break your fast with water. You don't want to chug a bunch of food down. Make sure you have 1 to 2 glasses of water. Then a few hours later, you're going to have another meal. You're going to have a snack. You're going to have another 2 to 3 cups of water. Now, if you notice here, between the morning, the breaking the fast, and then the third meal, you have 3 meals in the day. and you're gonna have a minimum of 6 cups of water. Now, if you're training, you're an athlete, you're gonna have more than that, and ideally you're gonna have 9 or 10 glasses of water, similar to what you would have in a normal routine. The only difference is now you're gonna be more strategic as to when you're having these meals and your different hydration at the same time. Now let's say you have a more flexible schedule, you can sleep in, you can control exactly when you're gonna work out, when you're gonna eat. This is really the ideal for performance as well as peace of mind during the month of Ramadan. So the way it's gonna start, in the beginning of the day, while everyone else is about to start the day, you're actually about to finish your day. So you're gonna have your morning prayer, you have 1 or 2 cups of water, maybe a last minute snack, and then you're gonna go to sleep. And you're gonna sleep until 12, 2, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So you're gonna do most of your fasting state, you'll try and be asleep. So that way you wake up, you have a few more hours to go, and you're gonna break your fast at 6:30 p.m. You're trying not to have a massive meal because you're gonna have a big workout just a couple hours later. So this is just to put some additional fuel in your system, so that way when you do work out, you're gonna have fuel for performance. So after this initial meal, 2 to 3 cups of water, between 8 and 10 p.m. is going to be your core workout. Now you can do doubles, you can do one at maybe 8 p.m. and then one at midnight, but if you're just gonna do one allocation for a workout, it would be later in the evening, a couple hours after you've had a chance to break your fast and get some new food into your system. Then at 10 o'clock or 9 or 11, whenever you finish that workout, is when you're gonna have your bigger meal. So at this point, you're gonna have another 2 to 3 cups of water. Then a few hours later, you'll have a snack. This is suhoor time between 2 and 4 a.m. You'll have another 1 to 2, maybe 3 cups of water. And then you're either gonna stay up until this time or you'll take a mini nap and then you'll wake up again before the sun rises, and that's how you'll begin your day or end your day if you're following this flexible schedule. Now, in case you're wondering, how do you get the most out of the food that you are eating so that way you're not really hungry during the day and you get the most out of your swimming workouts? Now, it's really important that you have high value foods before you start the fast. So these are foods that you should be eating before you start fasting. Number 1 is water. I mentioned it in the routines schedule, hour by hour. You wanna make sure you're getting 2 to 3 cups of water multiple times throughout the day when you're not fasting. After that, you wanna think about slow digesting carbs. These would be things like oats, whole grains, sweet potatoes, bananas, berries, a whole number of other foods, just think slow digesting carbs. And you wanna have a lot of protein because protein is gonna keep you full for longer. Specifically eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken, salmon, cottage cheese, turkey. These types of high protein foods are gonna keep you full for a longer period of time. And the things to avoid, salty processed foods. These things are just gonna give you endless calories and you're gonna be hungry within minutes. You also wanna avoid sugary foods and spicy foods. These things require more digestive power and the sugary foods are literally just gonna make you dehydrated and craving more sugar within hours of eating that initial consumption. So when you're thinking about how to make sure that you're staying hydrated and well fed in the hours of the day that you can eat, you wanna make sure you're thinking about slow digesting carbs, protein, and avoiding high sugary foods, high processed foods. Now when it comes time to break your fast, you've been waiting for this moment, you're so hungry, you just wanna stuff your face with food, and you shouldn't do that. You wanna be very strategic with how you break your fast. Start with water, 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 water. Then, after having 1 to 2 full cups of water, take your time and ease into the food. You wanna make sure you're filling yourself with very filling foods. And here's how you can start. Dates and bananas are a great way to break your fast after drinking water. You wanna have fruits, honey, complex carbs, that could be hummus, sweet potatoes, brown rice, and of course you need protein to keep your body generating and growth so that way all your workouts in the pool are able to be fully utilized. You wanna have turkey, eggs, chicken, fish, salmon, all that good stuff. And of course, again, you wanna avoid salty foods, heavily processed things that are filled with sugar and they're spicy. The more processed, the more sugar, the more you wanna avoid it. These are just good eating habits and nutrition in general, but especially when it comes to fasting. Now, one of the biggest challenges that I myself and I know other people have is eating a lot of sweets during the month of Ramadan. You're gonna go to a lot of iftar parties and maybe there are going to be a huge selection of sweets. If you're fortunate to be in that situation, try and control yourself. Don't overeat on the sweets. Make sure you fill yourself first with these complex carbs and proteins, and then don't be afraid to treat yourself here and there. Finally, I want to leave you with 5 fasting tips to have a successful fast, a happy Ramadan, and to maintain your swimming performance so that way you can peak when it really matters. Now, the first is setting clear expectations. A lot of people think that they're either gonna completely stop swimming, or maybe they're gonna hit best times during the month of Ramadan, or maybe you're gonna lose a bunch of weight. And really entering the month of fasting, or if you're fasting regularly, just having clear expectations and realistic goals is the most important thing that you can start with. Next, you wanna make sure you're drinking water regularly. When you remember looking at those breakdowns of the schedule, drinking 2 to 3 cups of water on regular intervals in the time that you're not fasting. You don't want to take in all of your water at once, same as you're not going to take in all of your calories in one sitting. You want to break it apart, and that leads me to the third part of scheduling your days. You want to be strategic. Everything should have a purpose, and you don't want to forget about eating or forget about drinking water, and then at the last minute, all you have is chugging liters and liters of water. So you want to think ahead, schedule your days in advance, and don't overeat. It can be very tempting because you're so hungry, you know you've been fasting, you had a good workout, and now it's time to unload and eat this beautiful iftar buffet. You don't want to do that. You want to be strategic. You want to start breaking your fast with water and then gradually layer in those calories over the next few hours, not minutes. You don't want to feel like you're inhaling food because it can be really easy to do that, especially when you're really hungry. And then you want to make sure that you're focusing on technique and being consistent. This is not a time when you increase your volume or you increase your strength. You're trying to hit PRs in the gym. That comes after Ramadan, after the time of fasting. This is a month of being consistent and grateful for everything that you have. The key takeaway is the longer you're fasting, the more important factoring in your hydration, nutrition, and timing of your training, and of course, planning ahead. Now, if you want to learn how to swim freestyle with perfect technique, then make sure you watch this video right over here. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.